It's really, really awkward when you get in those kind of positions. It's a hard. Like I don't envy the judges' jobs, like at one
Yeah.
little bit.
Because, like, in Magic the Gathering that I used to play a lot, like, they had these things, like, I don't know what the term for it was, but there are points that you cannot rewind past, right? Like, there's a certain amount of things you can rewind, but there are certain types of game actions that, if taken, cause a, like, hard no rewind point. You can't undo this type of
Yes.
game action, right? And, like, the easy comparison to me is that, like, in chess, a lot of times the rule is if you touch a piece, you have to move that piece, right? Like, at least at higher levels, the rule is if you touch it, you have to move it. So, like, and in Magic the Gathering, one of those hard, like, can't rewind backs very often was drawing a card. If you have already drawn a card and had that card touch your hand and gone from being on the top of the deck to being in your hand, unless that card is not supposed to be there, like you drew an additional card, then then it's done. We've moved past that point. Now we're at a new game state where you have these cards in hand and this is your board, right? And
Yes.
unless you get a judge involved to potentially hear your case out, you can't just like hit a rewind on it. I don't know. It seems like they've loosened it up a little bit because they don't want people to rule shark super hard in terms of like, because there was a really, really big deal in Magic the Gathering once about, there was this card called Pithing Needle or whatever, basically, that once you played it, you named a card and activated abilities of that card couldn't be used. But even Magic the Gathering had cards that have the same name but different effects.
Mm-hmm.
But you could only use the Pithing Needle to target one, right? Like, so if you name Monkey D. Luffy, you'd have to specify that it's the 6/7 untap, Gear 2 Monkey D. Luffy. And you have to specify that one. And somebody played a Pithing Needle and just said Luffy, the good one. And someone else was like, well, I have two of them. And clearly you meant, well, I'm just going to assume you meant the one that sucks and not the one that wins me the game, right? And they tried to play the one that wins me the game, and I was like, well, you didn't specify, so, you named a card that's not really in my deck, right? Like,
Yes. I mean,
and tried to get that. And, like, we don't want that kind of stuff to happen, but still, like...
But even then, like, when it gets to big tournaments, like, realistically, it should. Like, I would never say that it's been the wrong decision to kind of enforce the rules, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, look, if you want to, like, low-key, if you want to have a good game and, like, good vibes, take it back by all means. But I would never think ill of anyone to say, no, this is not in the rules, this is how it's going to have to be. Like, you have to play by the rules. I think that is 100% fair. It's just down to them. Like, ultimately, again, it's in the rules. It's down to both players to ensure correct game state. Like, that is part of the rules. It's down to both players to ensure correct game state. And if someone's noticed something there where you haven't done the right thing, I know that kind of covers a lot of bases because ordering is very, very particular with a lot of cards. I think people are kind of getting a lot better than they used to be with ordering.
Yeah.
Like, I always like Houndblaze is always the one where someone would just say, "I'll bottom deck that," and then I give this then I give this 3,000 power. No, that's not how it works. Like, it's 3,000 power first, then bottom deck something. So if you haven't declared the power first, and you can't give the power to anything.
That was something that was brought up too, where it's like, it is unfortunate, and it definitely feels really bad when somebody angle shoots you that way, to be like, you have to do it in a certain order, otherwise you've chosen to skip it or whatever. But like, just I don't know. I never, when that happens on the sim, and when I Houndblaze something and I don't get the +3 because the sim says you did it in the wrong order, I don't know. I don't think that's fundamentally a problem with the sim. The sim is just trying to get me to play correctly, and I did it wrong, right? Like, And so my perspective has always been that, like, okay, it's my mistake. Like, I'll take the L and I'll learn for next time. And, you know, it's
It's
unfortunate when that happens at a larger tournament, but like,
it's also kind of a byproduct of, like we've even said it during this conversation, like letting people away with things at locals.
yeah,
Like unironically, it almost teaches bad habits.
yeah,
When I play, I want them to rule shock me.
yeah.
Like even if it's like a super friendly, not even like in a tournament, just sat down, kind of chilling, playing and vibing. Unironically, I'd prefer them like get rule shocked there than at regionals. Like it does teach bad habits to get to kind of let people away with things, let people off with things. So there's very much an argument to say that if anything, we like almost as a community, we need to be more strict with the rules because
I think
there is
so.
there is definitely kind of a line where it's very it gets blurred for people. It goes into gray areas, but ultimately I think there's a rule for everything. Like I'm very confident there's one thing that I know there's not a rule for, which so my top cut game that I won in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, there was almost a game state of pure draw. So our first two games literally lasted like 57 minutes.
What's the
And then
matchup?
my last game,
What's the matchup?
Bonnie versus Black Luffy, Star Deck Luffy. Like
Okay.
both control decks. We played at a pretty good pace.
Mm-hmm.
Like neither of us were like, oh yeah, kind of quick enough or anything. Like we were proper vibing throughout and everything. Really nice guy. We'd played pretty quick. Again, Judge was watching us basically the entire time because the other game finished within like 35, 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw no issues with what we were doing and everything like that. So the last game, it literally is, I'm turn 1, he's turn 2, I'm turn 3. Then the game's done. Like after that. There was a board state of on his 4-don turn, if he summoned Hina and used Hina's ability to put the so I swung like what was my 1-don turn was my 1-don turn was passed, then he was turn 1. I can't remember what he's done on 2-don, I think he just passed. Then it was me on 3-don. I think I swung 6 and summoned Rosinante because I'm like, it's impossible for me to lose that. I was like, if I play a blocker, I have more cards in my deck than him.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot possibly win that.
Mm-hmm.
On his 4-don turn, if he summoned Hina, he trashed a 2-count my 6k swing. Sorry, that was very important. He trashed a 2-count my 6k swing.
Yep.
If he summoned Hina, used Hina's ability, put the card in trash into his deck,
Mm-hmm.
we're now on even cards on deck, even life, even characters on field. No one's taken a life, so it's not even last life taken.
Yeah.
It would literally, he didn't have Hina in hand, so this game state never popped up, but we thought about it after. Because he played it in both 2 games previously. And we're like, if that happened, we asked the judge, they said they didn't know. That it was a pure draw game state. There was no rules there for that game state. Because they couldn't go to the last game to see who last took a life. That was a different game. This was a game state where if he played that, was a pure draw, and there was not a rule in there for it. So we have no idea what would have happened. So that is the only thing that I know of that is not in there. Otherwise, everything's got like, ordering and everything like that. And
I just always think that, like, one of my biggest things just in general, I feel like, is like people are, like you said, there's just so many people that are just far too sloppy about their overall play. And especially, I think there's too many people that are intentionally or somewhat unintentionally sloppy about communicating with their opponent. Right? That's idea of people constantly trying to give their opponent as little information as possible, even over their own game actions, right? And like, it just leads to so many awkward issues to me where, like, it feels like many people are being accused of angle shooting just for asking people to clearly communicate their own board state and like stick to the words that they have said, right? And the dawn that they have rested and that type of thing. And like, I
So
just don't like that.
my thing with this is I think it's probably a bigger issue in Europe than it is in NA because
Mm.
of the language barriers.
Oh,
English is not everyone's first language at these tournaments.
fair.
So I'm a lot more forgiving when it comes to things because I understand that these guys are probably playing cards that are not in their native language.
For sure.
Like there's so many Germans and Italians that come over to play English tournaments, so many English people that go away to play in Italy, Germany, and whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's a very diverse kind of language when we actually play the game. Like France literally has that, like you have French One Piece cards. Like that's how big the game is in France as well. Like yes, most people's English is very good. Like especially for like a random second language, like it is good. Like you very rarely have communication issues. But like sometimes you will come up against people that just and through no fault of their own, they have to play the card game in English. Like
Yep.
it's not printed in like Romanian or anything, and they just tap the card and go like, and that's the best they can do. And I'm like, I look, I can't speak Romanian. It's like
Yeah.
that's not on you that we can't communicate very cleanly. You just kind of have to. But that I know what you're saying. But as long as they're trying to communicate with what they're doing, like I really I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
as long as I understand, like again, you've got a pretty good idea about what they're trying to do almost all of the time.
Yeah.
If they have not communicated that very well, then that's on them. But as long as, again, they're trying to ensure correct game state, then I am all ears for everything. Like, tell me what you need. We'll make this work the best that we can.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I definitely hear what you're saying in the sense that, like, because it came up too that EU actually had to, like, stop doing online tournaments or felt that they had to stop doing online tournaments because of so many issues with people cheating and other stuff, which is kind of funny. Because it feels like it's just as big a problem in America, but, like, they just don't want to stop the online tournaments because it's just too many people and too much money, right? It's like
so much money.
Yeah, 10, 24 person tournaments selling out in 5 minutes or less, right?
Don't need to hire a venue. Don't need any of this planning.
Don't need a venue. Some of them don't even stream their events, right? They don't have any of their own infrastructure. They just ask Eggman. Like, someone was like, oh, why is Eggman on commentary if he's not even paying attention to the game or whatever? And it's like, well, Eggman is a big content creator. He yaps about whatever is interesting at the second. And a big reason of why he's there is the infrastructure he brings, right? He has the infrastructure to set up a stream, run it, have chat working, have multiple different screens and displays and transitions, and have it be at least a somewhat decent viewing experience, right? And like, that's why he's there, and he's not a judge. But I kind of do wish that, like, the other person who was with him in the booth maybe was a judge or something like that. Or at bare minimum, like we were talking about, it feels like at bare minimum, they should be able to get in contact with the judges if something on the feature match table isn't being 100% above board or whatever. But like, yeah, I just definitely am kind of the opinion too that, like, locals I care less about. If you're just playing in the early rounds of the tournament, whatever, you know, we can make some more wiggle room. But I'm kind of like a purist when it comes to the feature match table or whatever, just because I want, like, I want the games that are shown to be as above the board as possible. And I just want people to see enforcement. Like, I want people... That's the biggest thing that I want from One Piece that I feel like I don't see enough, is I want people to see enforcement. I want people to see judges getting involved, because it happens already all the time in Japan, right? Like, when we watch the Japanese CS tournaments, right? There's a judge sitting over the shoulder of each individual player. And in the Japanese CS feature matches, they won't let you stand up to pick a card if you drop it, right? They will say, don't move, don't touch anything. I, as the judge, will bend down, pick up this card, and put it back to ensure everything is above board, right? The judges will sometimes literally, like, rearrange your Dawn to make it look proper and neat on the table so that people can see, right? Like, the judges will fix your graveyard if it's getting too messy. Like, the judges get involved and people see enforcement and a maintaining of a certain game state. And I just really wish that we had more of that. And I don't know why we don't. Obviously, it's a little bit the Japanese culture as well, but...
See, I also, like I said, I don't really think it's necessarily the fact that Eggman needs to be a judge. He just needs to know his cards and have to call things out.
Yeah, call
he
someone.
He doesn't need to be a judge to know that, hey, you're supposed to take a card when you play Hody Jones.
Yeah. I mean, I assume they know that, but I know...
You shouldn't be reorganizing your Dawn after you play a Gum Gum Giant because you put away the active Dawn. You should know this stuff.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen the clip. By the way, this might be a hot take. I 100% blame both players.
You 100% what?
Blame both players.
Oh, for sure.
Again, I know I've said this before, but it's in the rules. It is required that both players ensure correct game state.
For sure.
It's not even just the player who plays Hody Jones. The other person needs to ensure correct game state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you could even make the same argument about the Gum Gum Giant line.
Yeah.
The other player should have called him out. Like, hey, you can't redo your Dawn after you said these two active Dawn are going back to your Dawn deck.
The very first action is Dawn -1. It's rest one. Technically second. The very first action is rest the Dawn to declare the card. The card goes into the trash pile. You then do Dawn -1. You then do the rest of the effect.
Well, Dawn -2.
Yeah. For Gum Gum Giant, Dawn -2. But yeah, it's just so tough for me because Gum Gum Giant draws a card. And like changing what Dawn you minus after you draw the card is just so tough, right? Especially because like you could literally see in his eyes, he casts the Gum Gum Giant, and I think he's almost thinking that unless he draws 2k, 1k, he's dead. Because both of them are kind of like, it's the last turn of the game. If this Hody Jones doesn't kill, he loses, right? Which is kind of why I'm like a little more forgiving of the Hody Jones not adding a life. I've been reminded by my opponent that I need to add a life with Hody Jones or whatever, right? And like, that's fine. But the fact that he like cast the Gum Gum Giant, clearly put 2 Dawn in the Dawn deck, so that's finishing resolving the Gum Gum Giant, put the Gum Gum Giant in the graveyard, then drew 2 cards, saw what the 2 cards are, looked at his Dawn, realized he had put the wrong Dawn back, and then tried to change it after clearly looking at his 2 cards in hand. I think that's just too far, right? Like, it'd be the same if it was Blue Purple Luffy, right? And they draw a gear 2 or whatever, right? Like, that new information that you have now gained, that it's not maybe you'll draw a Gum Gum Giant, you guaranteed have drawn a Gum Gum Giant. So now you change your Dawn. Like, that difference between uncertainty and guarantee is the thing that makes it me be like, you shouldn't be able to take backsy this one. You should die to the Hody Jones swing.
Yeah, like I said, that's what most people's biggest complaint about Eggman is. Like, he doesn't need to like call a judge, or he just needs to point it out that he sees it. If something scummy happened, just point it out. Like,
yeah.
The fact that he doesn't, I think, is what irritates people.
Yeah, to me, I guess the bigger thing is like, Eggman is Eggman. You're gonna have him on the table no matter what. I just think that they should have the other person at the table be someone who really knows the game at a competitive level. Because Eggman plays multiple games and he does videos for every deck or whatever, right? He's not like that deep into the lore. I wish the person sitting next to him would be like, because Eggman has his job, which is run the stream. And then I wish there was somebody else whose job it is to be the professional. Because that's usually how they have it when they do casting for like the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour. You have one person who is the social media person and the personality and the talker, and one person who is the pro player analytical mind who looks at the game state, right? And like, that's the ideal perfect commentating couple, but...
Yeah,
the
because
issue- I mean,
in my mind, there's no way it's down to Eggman to like know every card.
For sure.
If you know what I'm saying.
I agree.
Like
but
he's there
honest-
in an entertainment capacity
Yes.
and like to kind of be that content creator. I don't think he's there to like call people out on like incorrect ordering or not following cards down to the letter. It's like I understand if it's like, wow, that's kind of weird. It's put Don back and then re-ramped almost. Like that's kind of fucked. But like it ultimately it's down to the players, and then it's down to the judge, and then I guess it would be down to the person who's watching it. Like I have felt like an asshole sometimes because when I've seen like not misplays, but I have called out mandatory interactions at regionals, but I
Yeah.
would never interfere with the game. I would tell the judge.
Yep.
I would tell the judge, but like I would show them the cards and be like, you need to draw off this. Like it's a mandatory effect. It's ensuring correct game state. Like it just because he did not forget to draw. He actually made an incorrect game state, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
No,
like it still feels shitty as like a spectator to do this because like it's not my game. Like I shouldn't interfere, but sometimes I just feel compelled to kind of again ensure a correct game state. But
yeah.
then it's just how the judge, and all you can do is tell a judge.
I definitely think that like the fact that sometimes there's like a top cut feature match table where there's one judge watching 4 people, I just don't think that that's enough. I just don't think that that's enough. It clearly does not seem to be enough.
Well, I think it's in my experience it's like fine as long as they can kind of hear both things. Like as long as they can kind of hear what all 4 players are saying at the same time, which is a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. Again, I don't envy the judges. Like if they can hear everything that's happening, they can look at the table, they can see what is going on. They can then make a decision. But like, I would hate to be a judge between like 2 tables where it's like Bello Betty versus like Smoker, and then like the other table's like Purple Luffy versus Snake Man, because then that's like so many different kind of interactions and things that you need to keep track of. Like that would be horrible.
Yeah.
That would actually truly be horrible. But I don't know. It's like how many judges do you want? That's 16 judges you would then need, like a minimum. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, I guess the bigger problem too is like the Japanese events are sometimes 5 to 7 rounds or whatever, right? So it's like way less people, so you can have, the same amount of judges covering less people individually.
And I think it's just
yeah.
one day as well, Japanese events, because Top Cut's just BO1, right? I might be wrong. They might have a day 2, but it's like they play less games than the West.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be like the meanest angle shooter ever or whatever, but I also think people should be be a little more stringent on actually maintaining correct game state, like you said. But
Yes.
we can move on to talking about the actual podcast topic. It was just interesting, and I wanted to hear other people's opinions about it that weren't just angry YouTube comments or whatever. Some of which I kind of agree with or whatever, but it's hard to. I feel like you just expect people to misconstrue your intent in the comment section or whatever, right? But it is what it is.
Okay.
Anyway, how y'all doing?
It's okay.